The soft glow of sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows of St. Augustine's Chapel, casting vibrant colors across the pews. The air was filled with the gentle hum of an organ, blending seamlessly with the quiet murmurs of guests eagerly awaiting the ceremony. Rows of white roses lined the aisle, their fragrance mingling with the faint scent of polished wood. At the altar stood Sergeant Nathaniel Carter, his polished NYPD uniform a testament to his dedication and discipline. His eyes were fixed on the chapel doors, where his bride, Isabella Martinez, would soon appear. For Nate and Bella, this day symbolized the culmination of their love story, a moment they had dreamed of for years. They had met at a charity art auction where Bella's gallery had raised funds for first responders. Nate, honored for his bravery during a building collapse rescue, found himself captivated by the gallery owner with the warm smile and infectious laugh. Their connection was immediate, their relationship blossoming like the spring flowers that adorned their wedding invitations. But what was meant to be their fairy tale took a dark turn when an uninvited guest shattered their dream wedding. The wooden doors of St. Augustine's Chapel burst open with a thunderous crash. The music stopped. Guests gasped, and standing in the doorway was a figure whose obsession would transform a day of celebration into one of fear and chaos. The seconds that followed would test Nate's training as a sergeant, Bella's resilience, and the strength of their bond. As rings waited to be exchanged and vows longed to be spoken, a violent disruption would force everyone present to confront the unexpected. A jealousy so intense it threatened not just a wedding, but lives. Have you ever witnessed a perfect moment collapse in an instant? How would you react if your happiest day suddenly became your most terrifying? Stay tuned to uncover the shocking events that unfolded and the life lessons we can all learn from this harrowing tale, where love, obsession, and courage collided in a New York chapel on what should have been a perfect day. Nathaniel Carter and Isabella Martinez's romance began 3 years before their wedding day during a winter charity auction. The event, Art for Heroes, showcased Bella's curatorial talent while raising funds for the families of fallen officers. Nate attended as a department representative, having recently been promoted to sergeant after leading a tactical team through a complex hostage situation. Their first conversation lasted 4 hours. Bella was drawn to Nate's quiet confidence and genuine interest in her artwork explanations. Nate found himself captivated by her passionate descriptions of brushstrokes and color theory, subjects he'd never considered fascinating until hearing them through her perspective. He asked such thoughtful questions, Bella later told her friends. Not just polite small talk, he actually wanted to understand. Their first date took place at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where Bella guided Nate through her favorite exhibits. Their second date was Nate showing Bella his neighborhood in Brooklyn, introducing her to the local diner where officers gathered after long shifts. Within 6 months, they were inseparable. Nate's reputation within the NYPD was sterling. Fellow officers described him as level-headed under pressure and the guy you want beside you when things go wrong. He'd earned commendations for community outreach programs he developed in troubled neighborhoods, building bridges between residents and law enforcement. Bella had transformed her small gallery into one of New York's most respected showcases for emerging artists. Her eye for undiscovered talent had launched several careers, earning her feature articles in art magazines and invitations to judge prestigious competitions. What Nate didn't know during those early golden days of their relationship was the shadow lurking in Bella's past, Victor Alvarez. Bella had married Victor in her early 20s, a whirlwind romance that quickly deteriorated. Victor monitored her phone calls, questioned her friendships, and eventually isolated her from family. When Bella finally gathered courage to leave after 2 years, Victor's behavior escalated to stalking. Only a firm restraining order and Bella's move to New York had ended the nightmare, or so she thought. 3 weeks before the wedding, Victor discovered Bella's engagement announcement through a mutual acquaintance's social media post. The photo showed Bella beaming, her hand on Nate's chest, displaying a vintage diamond ring. The caption read, counting down to April 12th. Hatch Bella Nate forever. Victor saved every photo, every detail, every comment. He noted the chapel's name, the reception venue, the time. His apartment walls gradually filled with printed images of Bella and information about her fiancé, the decorated NYPD sergeant who had stolen what Victor still considered his. In his mind, April 12th wasn't their wedding date. It was his deadline. April 12th arrived with perfect blue skies. St. Augustine's Chapel buzzed with anticipation as guests filed into the century-old building. Nate stood at the altar, shoulders back, his dress uniform pressed and adorned with the badges he'd earned protecting New York's streets. His best man, fellow officer Detective Miguel Rodriguez, offered reassuring nods as they waited. "Never seen you this nervous, not even during that warehouse standoff," Miguel whispered. "Different kind of pressure," Nate replied, adjusting his collar for the 5th time. The music shifted, signaling Bella's arrival. The chapel doors opened, revealing her in a vintage-inspired gown, delicate lace cascading down to the floor. Her dark hair was adorned with small white flowers, and her eyes locked with Nate's across the distance between them. Guests rose to their feet, camera flashes capturing her father guiding her down the aisle. Nate's breath caught in his throat. This moment, Bella walking toward him ready to become his wife, felt surreal. Every step she took brought them closer to the future they'd planned together. The ceremony began, with the officiant welcoming everyone to witness the union of two extraordinary souls. Nate and Bella held hands, their fingers intertwined as they prepared to exchange vows. That's when it happened. The heavy wooden doors crashed open, the sound echoing through the chapel like a thunderclap. Heads turned. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Victor Alvarez stood in the doorway, disheveled in a wrinkled suit, holding a bouquet of crushed flowers. His eyes were wild, unfocused. "Isabella!" he shouted, his voice breaking the sacred silence. "This is a mistake!" Bella froze, her face draining of color. Nate instinctively moved closer to her, protective. "Sir," the officiant began, "I must ask you to—" "She belongs with me," Victor interrupted, stumbling down the aisle. "Tell them, Bella. Tell them we made vows first." Nate stepped forward, positioning himself between Victor and Bella. "You need to leave," he said firmly, his voice calm but authoritative, the same tone he used during crisis negotiations. Victor ignored him, his attention fixed solely on Bella. 3 years I've waited. 3 years watching you build this life that should have been ours." Several of Nate's colleagues, seated throughout the chapel, began moving toward the front, recognizing the escalating threat. "Victor, please," Bella whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't do this." Her plea seemed to enrage him further. "Don't do this? You did this. You left me." He lunged forward, tossing the bouquet aside. Nate intercepted him, gripping Victor's arm as Miguel and 2 other officers rushed to assist. Victor struggled violently, knocking over a candelabra. Guests gasped as flames briefly licked at the carpet before being stamped out. "You're a traitor!" Victor screamed at Bella as the officers restrained him. "I loved you! I gave you everything!" The chapel descended into chaos, some guests retreating to the back, others frozen in shock, phones recording the unexpected drama. Bella's bridesmaids huddled around her as she collapsed into tears. Outside, sirens wailed as patrol cars responded to urgent calls from guests. Victor was forcibly removed, still shouting declarations of love and betrayal as officers guided him into a police vehicle. Inside the chapel, the wedding party stood among scattered flowers and overturned decorations. What should have been a celebration of love had transformed into a crime scene. The officiant closed his ceremony book. Bella sobbed in her father's arms. And Nate, the sergeant accustomed to controlling chaotic situations, found himself at the center of one he never anticipated. The reception hall stood empty, decorated tables untouched, the 3-tier wedding cake waiting for a celebration that never arrived. Back at Bella's parents' home, the bride sat quietly in her wedding gown, tears leaving trails through her carefully applied makeup.
"I should have told you more about him,"
she whispered as Nate knelt before her.
"I thought he was gone from my life."
Nate took her hands in his. This isn't your fault. Nothing about today is your fault. Bella's mother brought tea, her father paced by the window, and bridesmaids made quiet calls to concerned guests. The weight of disappointment hung heavy in the room, months of planning destroyed in minutes. Everyone's asking what we want to do, Miguel reported, putting his phone away. Most guests are still at the chapel or nearby restaurants. Nate looked to Bella, waiting for her cue. This was her day too, perhaps more so, and he wouldn't make decisions without her. After a long silence, Bella straightened her shoulders. He's taken enough from me already. I won't let him take this day too. Within an hour, plans reformed. The officiant agreed to return. The chapel, now cleared and straightened by volunteers, would host a smaller ceremony at sunset. What began as disaster transformed into something intimate and raw. By 7 p.m., 50 close friends and family gathered again. Nate's fellow officers formed an impromptu honor guard at the entrance. Bella's artists' friends quickly arranged fresh flowers to replace those damaged in the chaos. When Bella walked down the aisle a second time, the setting sun streamed through the stained glass, casting a different but equally beautiful light. Her eyes were slightly red from crying, but her smile was genuine. Nate stood tall, more certain than ever about their union. Sometimes the truest strength, the officiant began, isn't found in perfect moments, but in the decision to continue despite imperfection. They exchanged vows with voices that occasionally trembled but never wavered in conviction. When they kissed as husband and wife, the chapel erupted in applause that seemed to wash away the earlier trauma. At the small reception that followed, Nate's captain raised a toast. To Nate and Bella, who showed us today that true commitment isn't about perfect ceremonies, it's about facing challenges together. Life rarely unfolds as planned. Moments we anticipate for years can be derailed in seconds. Have you ever had to overcome an unexpected obstacle that threatened something precious to you? How did you respond? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else facing their own disrupted dream. In the months following their disrupted wedding, Nate and Bella's experience became more than just a personal story. It evolved into a catalyst for important conversations. Victor Alvarez received court-mandated counseling as part of his plea agreement, but the incident highlighted how easily past relationships can resurface with devastating consequences. The warning signs were there years ago, Bella admitted during an interview 6 months later. His possessiveness, isolation tactics, and refusal to accept our breakup weren't just personality quirks, they were red flags I downplayed. This revelation prompted Bella to collaborate with domestic violence prevention groups, creating workshops for young adults about recognizing controlling behaviors early. Meanwhile, Nate developed a training module for his precinct on handling confrontations at public gatherings, particularly weddings and celebrations where emotions run high. Their story reveals a crucial truth. Unaddressed toxicity rarely disappears on its own. Victor's obsession had simmered for years, fed by social media glimpses into Bella's new life and his own refusal to move forward. What might have changed had someone in his circle recognized his fixation and intervened? Yet equally powerful is what happened after the chaos. The community that rallied around Nate and Bella, reorganizing their wedding within hours, standing guard to ensure their safety, transforming disaster into a different but meaningful celebration, demonstrated how collective support can counterbalance individual trauma. People keep calling us resilient, Nate reflected during their first anniversary celebration. But resilience isn't just about the two people at the center. It's about everyone who helps hold you up when you might otherwise fall. Their journey reminds us that while we cannot control every element of our lives, particularly the actions of others, We can choose how we respond to disruption. We can allow difficult moments to define us, or we can write new endings to troubled beginnings. If you found this story insightful, please like this video, share it with someone who might benefit from these lessons, and subscribe to True Crime Hunter for more compelling narratives that explore the complexities of human behavior and the strength found in its aftermath. What began as a celebration of love between Sergeant Nathaniel Carter and Isabella Martinez transformed into a test of their commitment when Victor Alvarez crashed their wedding. The chapel that should have witnessed only joy became the stage for confrontation, tears, and ultimately redemption. Today, 3 years after that turbulent April day, Nate and Bella have built the life they envisioned. They welcomed their first child last spring, and Bella's art gallery now features an annual exhibition highlighting stories of resilience. Nate's work with the NYPD has expanded to include community outreach programs that help individuals struggling with attachment and boundary issues. Victor, too, found a path forward. After completing therapy and anger management courses, he moved to Arizona, beginning fresh in a place without memories of what he'd lost. Their story reminds us that life's most significant moments often arrive unscripted. A wedding day shattered by unexpected chaos became the foundation for advocacy, awareness, and deeper connection. Sometimes the greatest challenges arise on the days we least expect them, but with love and support, even the darkest moments can lead to brighter tomorrows. This is True Crime Hunter, where we explore the complexities of human behavior and the strength that emerges from adversity. If this story resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell. Your comments fuel our research, and your experiences may inspire our next investigation. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and remember, every disruption carries the potential for growth.